Tonight, Anambra State government concludes investigation into the result forgery controversy involving Mmesoma Ejikeme. Says the candidate forged the UTME score of 362, which he claimed. Police in Rivers State neutralized 6 persons suspected to be kidnappers. Arrest 6 others in a raid on a criminal hideout in the Emoa axis of the East-West Road. Taraba State Governor Kefas lifts 24-hour curfew imposed on warring communities in Karim Lamido local government area of the state following fresh outbreak of violence between 2 feuding ethnic groups. And prominent Nigerians extol the virtues of Otunba Balogun as a foremost banker and philanthropist is laid to rest at his ancestral home in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State.
And on Business News tonight, Honeywell Group affiliate becomes majority shareholder in FBN Holdings following acquisition of additional equity in a financial services giant.
Well, it's a controversy that began 2 months ago and then blew up into a scandal. The case of Miss Mmesoma Ejikeme, who claims she got the highest score in the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. Well, the matter has now been laid to rest after the committee of inquiry set up by the Anambra State government confirmed that she manipulated her result, giving herself a score of 362 as against her actual score of 249, thereby vindicating the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAMB on the matter. The committee in its report explained that the former student of Anglican Girls Secondary School in Nnewi admitted that she forged the result herself using her phone.
I am Ejikeme Mmesoma.
It all began with Miss Ejikeme Mmesoma, a student of Anglican Girls Secondary School in Nnewi, Anambra State, who sat for the 2023 Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board examination, claiming to have secured the highest score of 362 across the nation.
This is my aggregate, 362. This is exactly how I printed it. I downloaded it from that site.
Her claim was shortly after refuted by JAMB, which immediately accused Ms. Ejikeme of forgery.
This is the result that we're using for 2023. She's the only person parading this particular result sheet. Go on the street, I challenge anybody, ask candidates that have sat for 2023 UTME, whether anybody has printed this kind of result. This is what we use in 2021, and we never use it again. From 2022, this is the system. Results label is what we have been producing because it comes with a picture. Mmesoma is the only candidate that is paraded it. And not look at the date of birth. But how come she's having 2 different dates of birth and 2 different results?
Mr. Ejikeme also came out questioning JAMB's comment on the issue.
They are working against my daughter to pull her down with this new result that they came with now. Nigeria and the whole world should know the truth. JAMB work against my daughter and accusing her at the same time. I don't like it. It's unfair.
Days after the news broke, the Anglican Diocese of Nnewi and the House of Representatives called for thorough investigations into the matter.
We are church, and the church must stand on the truth. When something like this happens, whether the girl is a Muslim, we don't care. The truth is that we want to know the actual thing, what is happening. We don't want a case where somebody feels that he or she is vindicated for one reason or the other.
Let's give this ad hoc committee an opportunity to come up with a thorough investigation.
So you're in support of the motion?
I'm in support of the motion.
All right,
so that we exonerate this girl. And I appeal to JAMB to soften the ban on this girl until the investigation is concluded.
Also, the Anambra State government swung into action and set up a committee of inquiry on the JAMB score controversy. The outcome of the committee's probe now seems to have resolved the whole puzzle. According to the committee of inquiry, Ms. Ejikeme has confirmed that she manipulated her Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination result, giving herself a score of 362 as against her actual score of 249 released by JAMB. In its 8-page report, the committee states that Mmesoma admitted herself that she manipulated the fake result unaided by anyone using her phone. Ejikeme Mmesoma, who hails from Enugu State, would now have to deal with the consequences of her action, which includes not being able to sit for the JAMB Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination for the next 3 years. She's also required to apologize to JAMB and her school, the Anglican Girls Secondary School in Nnewi.
Meanwhile, the consequences of Mmesoma's action are already taking effect after her admission of guilt in the result forgery scandal, as Innoson Vehicles has withdrawn the scholarship it awarded her. Innoson Group, in a statement by its head of corporate communications, Colonel Osigwe, explained that it had waited for the outcome of the investigations into the forgery scandal before taking a decision. In the words of the company, this conclusion is deeply disappointing and stands in direct contravention of the values we hold dear at Innoson Vehicles, particularly those that underscore our scholarship program. The company adds that in line with these principles, it made the difficult decision to withdraw the scholarship awarded to Ms. Ejikeme as a testament to its unyielding commitment to honesty, integrity, and merit-based recognition. Meanwhile, the National Orientation Agency is of the opinion that the fake JAMB result controversy may have been blown out of proportion, no thanks to the role of social media. The Director General of the agency, Mr. Garba Abari, is blaming the social media for the spread of the false claim by Mmesoma that she came top in the 2023 UTME without verification. He was speaking in Abuja on the importance of organizational integrity and the dangers of fake news at a forum for corporate organizations and other stakeholders.
We in the National Orientation Agency will continue to play the role we should be playing to counter fake content because of the subversive, counterproductive, disintegrative role it plays in our social fabric. The social media has come to stay. We have to make use the best use of it. Recently, you must have been seeing the furor over the Mmesoma fake JAMB results issue, which has become the most topical issue of discussion in our country today. You know, ordinarily, this shouldn't be the case. Ordinarily. And this is how some of the issues that we in the NOA must have to grapple with. You know, a simple matter that should have been handled quietly by the examination body has been allowed to come out as if the entire foundation of the country is being shaken. You know? And it tells you a lot about our institutional integrity. You know, how Nigerians perceive our national institutions.
Well, to security matters now. In Rivers State, 6 suspected kidnappers have been shot dead during a gun battle with men of the Rivers State Police Command in the Emoa axis of the East-West Road. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Nwoye Emeka, says additional 6 kidnapped suspects were arrested during the operation. He was briefing journalists at the force headquarters in Port Harcourt, the state capital, on the recent activities of the command.
Criminal activities of a gang of wanted criminals terrorizing the East-West Road axis in Emoha local government area of Rivers State. Operative attached to the anti-cultist unit in conjunction with tactical teams invaded the hideout of one Uchechukwu Daniel Okana, a.k.a. Horn Man at Obele in Emoha local government area. On sighting the police operatives, the hoodlums in their numbers opened fire on them. A quick response by the operative neutralized and dislodged the miscreants as they scampered for safety and bowed to the superior fire, neutralizing 6 of them and arresting 6.
And hoodlums said to be enforcing the sit-at-home order given by a faction of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, headed by one Simon Ekpa, invaded Amarako community in Isialambano local government area of Imo State, burning down a minibus and a motorcycle on Friday night. The spokesman of the Imo State Police Command, Henry Okoye, said they came around 11:30 p.m., shot sporadically in the air while warning the people of the area of a consequence of disobeying the sit-at-home order. The police explained further that in a bid to instill fear in the residents, they set the vehicles on fire, adding that the incident lasted for less than 10 minutes, after which normalcy was restored in the area. To Taraba State now, where the government has lifted the 24-hour curfew which it imposed on Karim Lamido local government area of the state as a result of renewed hostilities by the two groups over the coronation of the chief of Worokun to rule over the Karimjo group by the previous administration in May this year. This comes after Governor Abu-Kefis called for an immediate ceasefire between the feuding ethnic groups of Worokun and Karimjo. No fewer than 30 persons have lost their lives in the crisis, with many others injured.
For the second time in 2 months, the Worokun-speaking tribe and their neighbors, the Karimjos, in Karim Lamido local government area of Taraba State, are engaging each other in a battle over which tribe should sit on the traditional stool after the former governor coronated the son of the late chief of Worokun as the substantive traditional ruler in May this year. Governor Abu-Kefis summoned 13 stakeholders from each of the feuding tribes to a closed-door meeting.
The first thing I've done is to direct them to impose curfew, 24 hours curfew first. Then we have meeting here. It is what we decide here that will determine the next plan of action.
After their meeting with the governor, the bickering tribes arrived at the local government secretariat to discuss the governor's directive to cease fire and embrace peace. The governor, through the chairman of the Karim Lamido Peace Forum, asked the Karimjos to request for a possible consideration the creation of their own chiefdom, on the condition that no crisis erupts again. He also identified social media and fake news as one of the root causes of the crisis.
All that we're after is to make sure that they should cease fire. It is to continue with whatever the crisis that's going on, and they've accepted vehemently. So His Excellency has given his words that after the meeting, and if nothing happens, immediately he will make sure that the curfew has come to, we just removed it. The truth of the matter is that a lot of postings have been, because so many of these platforms have been created, either by the Worokun, either by the individual, and by the group of the Karinjo. So they use that as a platform in causing more problems.
Leaders of the feuding ethnic groups say they have resolved to close ranks and live in peace for the sake of the development of the area.
We've lived in peace for so long.
Except for the crisis.
Except for this crisis. And we've understood where the problem is. We will address the problem based on what we have told His Excellency.
We all abide by what His Excellency wanted us to do. We will live in peace with our neighbor, that is the Worokun community.
The state government is setting up a stock-taking committee over the crisis. Meanwhile, the traditional ruler, whose coronation birthed the problem, is seeking intensive sensitization to avert a repeat of what led to the curfew imposed in the town. Meanwhile, our cameras noticed a total compliance with the curfew. Shops were under lock and key, and the residents were forced to stay indoors, and the roads were deserted.
Well, in part two, after the break, federal government promises completion of the Abuja-Kaduna Kano Expressway in the first quarter of 2024. Well, that's in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Anambra State Government concludes investigation into the result forgery controversy involving Mmesoma Ejikeme, says that the candidate forged a UTME score of 362, which he claimed. The police in Rivers State neutralized 6 persons suspected to be kidnappers and arrest 6 others in a raid on a criminal hideout in the MOR axis of the East-West Road. Taraba State Governor Abu-Kefas lifts 24-hour curfew imposed on warring communities in Karim Lamido local government area following fresh outbreak of violence between 2 feuding ethnic groups. And prominent Nigerians extol the virtues of Otunba Balogun as a foremost banker and philanthropist is laid to rest at his ancestral home in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. Also, infrastructure development now, where the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing is given the assurance that the reconstruction work on the Abuja-Kaduna Kano Highway will be completed by the first quarter of next year. This is according to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Mr. Mahmoud Maman, who attributed the late completion of the project, which was awarded since 2017, to insecurity and funding challenges. He was speaking during an inspection of the road and others ongoing in Kaduna State.
The Abuja-Kaduna Kano Expressway is one of Nigeria's most important highways that connects the northern region to the southern part of the country. The road also connects the Federal Capital Territory to other parts of northern Nigeria. However, for the past 8 years, the road has been in a deplorable condition, causing a lot of hardship to commuters. The last administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari had awarded the reconstruction of the road to Julius Berger Nigeria PLC on December 20, 2017. Work commenced on May 21, 2018, with a proposed 36 months completion date, but the project is far from being completed. Some motorists believe the condition of the Abuja-Kaduna highway is responsible for the frequent motor accidents on the road.
It's not normally safe for us. The road, they've been doing that road since how many years they've been doing it, there's no any improvement of the road. So sometimes you will say a pothole will cause a lot of accident. And they also need to clear that place. They will not clear it before. They will be saying they don't have crane to clear that. People will be suffering, follow the bush.
Normally we take at least 2 hours from Abuja to Kaduna. But now you take complete more than 3 hours. So fuel consumption, your tires, the rate of car maintenance is very high.
The Permanent Secretary in the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, Mahmoud Maman, takes a tour of the 375.9 kilometers of the dual carriageway, beginning from the Abuja end through Kaduna, Zaria and Kano. The essence of the tour is to assess the progress made so far by the contractor handling the Abuja-Kaduna Zaria-Kano road project.
As it is now, he's very slow. So, and that's why Nigerians are agitated, complaining. And that is what actually brought us from the office to come and see and devise solutions so that he can be able to deliver the project. But why the project actually slowed down is mainly because of the security challenges. Now that the situation has improved, the contractor has actually promised to deliver that by the first quarter of next year, the whole length of the project is going to be completed.
Our major challenge is the weather at the moment, but I can assure this is considered in our schedule, so this will not affect the time when we will finish.
The initial completion date given for the reconstruction of the Abuja-Kaduna Zaria-Kano road project is 36 months. The Permanent Secretary has given a new date, probably based on his assessment of the work done so far. The first quarter of 2024 is not far, and travelers applying these routes will be looking forward to the fulfillment.
For more infrastructure now, Rivers State Governor Similaye Fubara has announced plans to embark on his administration's signature project, the Port Harcourt Ring Road, in 2 weeks' time. Governor Fubara stated this after assent into the state's supplementary budget of 200 billion naira which is meant for the execution of the project. He says his administration is convinced that the project will attract more development to the state and unlock its economic potential.
A few days after approving the River State supplementary budget of 200 billion naira, members of the State Assembly, led by the Speaker, Martin Amerule, are at the Government House to present same for the Governor's assent. The legislative instrument, titled the River State Supplementary Appropriation Law Number 4 of 2023, captures the construction of the Port Harcourt Ring Road, a landmark project that has been on the wish list of successive administrations.
This project, which is best described as a unified, has a taproot system that connects local governments, communities, ethnic groups, and further unveils the potentials of River State as the treasure base of the nation, and indeed puts us in positive competitive status with other developing states in Africa.
Governor Siminalayi Fubara pens his signature, flanked by the Speaker of the State Assembly, the Commissioner for Justice, and Attorney General of the State, and the Commissioner for Finance. It seeks the collaboration of the Assembly members and other stakeholders to deliver good governance to the people.
The whole world is watching on us. And why are they watching on us? Governor Wike has brought these people. That's what they say. Let us see what they can do. If you used to sleep for 10 hours before, learn to sleep lesser time and work, because we have challenges ahead of us. It's not challenges as if anybody is going to do anything to us, but we must prove every critic wrong.
The 50.15 kilometers road with flyovers and bridges will interconnect more than 5 local government areas and divert traffic from busy roads like the East-West Road, Port Harcourt, Aba Expressway, and Ikwere Road to guarantee access to some economic hubs in real time. Governor Fubara sets 2 weeks for the flag-off of the project.
By next week, we should commence with the official signing of the contracts with Julius Berger, and by the grace of God, upper week, Monday or Tuesday, we'll flag off the project. So we need your support to ensure that we complete it and we commission it for the people of River State.
The Speaker of the Assembly, in his remarks, assures the Governor of their support.
We'll give you all the support that you deserve or that you need to succeed, because we are convinced that when you succeed, we have succeeded. And our people are watching. Across the 32 constituencies of our states, they are so determined to give us support as their reps. And we believe that with the kind of support we are getting so far, we cannot go home to sleep.
The construction of the Port Harcourt Ring Road was one of the promises made by Governor Fubara in his inaugural speech on May 29th, and this 200 billion naira supplementary budget to fund the project has pushed the total budget of River State to a record 744 billion naira for the current fiscal year.
Well, away from infrastructure, a former Minister of Education, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, is asking media practitioners in the country not to shirk their constitutional responsibility of holding the government accountable to the people. But this, she says, is necessary to put the government on its toes and ensure it delivers good governance to the people. She made the call at a media roundtable in the nation's capital, Abuja.
Holding the politician's feet to the fire is what the Constitution empowers you as journalists of this country to do. Every time you fail to do so, you reduce the probability of the very core of governance duty and responsibility to be performed. When you write about other matters around these fundamental objectives of the state, and you write about issues that have to do with promoting national unity, issues of national loyalty, when you write about issues of economic management, of inequity and equality, when you write about issues of transparency and probity of government, when you write about the issues that say all citizens without any form of discrimination must have the opportunity for securing adequate means of livelihood as well as adequate opportunity to secure adequate employment. You're writing about the principles, the fundamental objectives of the Constitution, which empowers you to demand for accountability.
Well, the federal government is asking states in the country to take full advantage of the Global Partnership for Education Transformation System to increase access to quality education. But this call was made by the National Project Coordinator, Global Partnership for Education, Dr. Falake Olatunji, during a 3-day implementation support mission meeting in Yola, the Adamawa state capital.
Gathered in this hall are officials of the Federal Ministry of Education, the Global Program on Education, GPE, officials from the World Bank and staff of the Ministry of Education from Oyo, Adamawa and Katsina states. The focus of this meeting is how to transform the educational system of schools in states and improve the quality of learning for children in Nigeria. The Global Partnership for Education System outlines the importance of actionable commitment to better education service delivery.
We are going to be having a verification, independent verification of what we have done. And then we're looking at what we need to do in the next 6 months. So it's both to look backward and then to go forward for the next 6 months. And we're going to be having this type of meeting every 6 months.
This is one of the largest programs in terms of financial volume that GPE supports in any country. If the world wants to make progress on education and getting all children into school and learning something useful, then we have to solve the learning crisis in Nigeria. Without Nigeria, it will not be possible.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education is pleased with the timing of the meeting, says no better time than now.
The World Bank mission to Adamawa State is timely and within the scope to see undoubtedly the vulnerability and gaps within our educational systems in order to provide transformation in terms of reduction in number of out-of-school children, improvement of teachers' teaching practices, and measuring learning outcomes for policy formulation, and improving teacher deployment and making education expenditures transparent and accessible for policy formulation.
After the day's event, the team comprising the officials of the Federal Ministry of Education, World Bank, and the states involved in the program proceeds to some of the selected schools in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, to see things for themselves. The GPE project is a 4-year World Bank-funded program aimed at providing better educational delivery and increased access to quality education in 3 states of Oyo, Adamawa, and Katsina.
The remains of the founder of First City Monument Bank, Otunba Balogun, has been committed to Mother Earth at his private residence in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State, after a funeral service held at the Cathedral Church of Our Savior. The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, who represented President Bola Tinubu at the occasion, extolled the virtues of patriotism and sense of responsibility of the late Otunba Balogun. The event was attended by other eminent personalities, including former Head of State, General Yakubu Gowon, former Commonwealth Secretary General, Chief Emeka Ayoku, some former and serving governors, lawmakers, and many from the business community. It's a solemn moment as the body of the late Otunba Balogun is brought into the church, accompanied by family members, including his wife of many years, Olori Abimbola Shubomi Balogun. The family members are joined at the event held at the Cathedral Church of Our Saviour Ijebu-Ode by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, representing President Bola Tinubu, former Head of State General Yakubu Gowon, former Commonwealth Secretary General Chief Emeka Anyoku, former and serving governors, lawmakers in the state and national assemblies, members of the business community, among other distinguished guests from all walks of life, to bid him farewell to eternal glory. The officiating bishop and the bishop of Remo Diocese Anglican Communion, Olushina Fakwe, describes Otunba Shubomi Balogun as a humanist who lived his life in the service of God.
One thing which marked out this man was his sense of gratitude to God. He was a committed Christian who was appreciative of the grace of God in his life. For him, all of his achievements in life were credited to the benevolence of God and his grace. He had touched lives. He was a quintessential personality, elegant in appearance, beautiful in character, doyen of the banking and finance industry, an incorruptible Nigerian, highly refined, compassionate, very strict and firm, but extremely humble.
The foremost banker was a philanthropist, humanist, and a role model to many in the positions of authority across the country. The Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, will not forget his contributions to the health sector, among other philanthropic gestures.
His life and times are an amazing testimonial of several accomplishments and service to humanity. He was a big philanthropist. We call him a philanthropist par excellence. He supported the health and the education sector. Baba donated a whole estate to the health sector and had the UCH, University College Ibadan, adopt it and begin to manage it. Baba donated generously.
The Vice President thanked God for the life and times and the exemplary leadership of Otunba Balogun, especially in the nation's banking sector and the capital market.
Otunba Michael Olashubomi Balogun was an institution in the Nigerian banking sector and a model for various generations of bankers, lawyers, and everyone engaged in intellectual business with our nation, crafting solutions to our myriad of challenges. But he was much more than that. He was everything our alien world desired, a philanthropist extraordinaire. Departing from this world at 89 is a gift only a few have benefited from.
Otunba Shubomi Balogun, born on March the 9th, 1934, died on May the 18th this year at the age of 89. Some cheering news for civil servants in Cross River State who may get a salary raise soon, and that's according to Governor Basio II, who made the promise to boost service delivery across the ministries. He explains the decision is to help his administration build on the gains of the previous administration. The governor made the commitment during his first meeting with permanent secretaries in the state.
We know very well, because the general complaint is that the civil servants are not taking very good care of. My assurances of this government is that that story is going to change. We are going to increase salaries of civil servants and also pay. We are going to make sure that there's improvement in welfare. We clearly understand the paucity of funds, but I believe that for us to have the best out of our employees and staffs, they must be well taken care of. If not so, it will be difficult to do so. Times are very, very difficult. But we believe that despite that, something has to be done to spur up the morale of all of you.
And business news is next on the news at 10 with Ladi Williams.
Thanks, Kayode. Well, Barbican Capital Limited, an affiliate of listed consumer goods conglomerate Honeywell Group, has now become the majority shareholder of financial giant FBN Holdings. According to a statement released by the Nigerian Stock Exchange, this comes after the company acquired an aggregate of 4.77 billion units of FBN Holdings, issued a share capital of 35.89 billion units as of July the 7th. The statement further mentions that the equity purchase by Barbican Capital in FBNH, which is in addition to previous acquisition, currently stands at 13.3%. The Nigerian Exchange Limited has removed Wema Bank PLC and Custodian Investment PLC from the NGX 30 index. A statement released by the NGX explains that this follows the outcome of its 2022 half-year market index review of the indicator and other sub-indexes of the exchange. The report further shows that Geregu Power PLC and Sterling Financial Holding PLC have replaced Custodian Investment PLC and Wema Bank PLC in the NGX 30 index accordingly. The NGX 30 index tracks the top 30 companies in terms of market capitalization and total value of equities listed on the domestic stock market platform. And over to the domestic stock market, which has maintained impressive performance, which had started since the beginning of June and into the first week of July. Markets benchmark indicator surged by 3.4% to close the week above the 63,000 point level. That's another high, which the market has not witnessed since 2008. It is mostly due to strong interest by investors for some high-value equities listed on the NGX. At the same time, sectoral performance printed positive sentiments across the board, particularly from the banking counter of the NGX, as it gained nearly 10% week to date. Elsewhere on the performance chart, the volume and value of shares traded this week was significantly higher than figures recorded last week. This reflects the returns investors are getting from the local bourse are attractive. Meanwhile, Japan Gold topped a list of 78 gainers for the week with a 58.57% advance. Coronation Insurance led 24 other losers with a 26.51% price decline, while the trio of FBN Holdings, FCMB and UBA were major contributors to the overall volume of shares traded this week. And Forex trading on the FMDQ exchange ended the first week of July negative, as total transactions across the market fell by 38.20% to nearly $437.1 million to July 7th. Decline, which comes on the back of significant declines and a drop in value in transactions across the FX spot, forwards, as well as the derivatives segment of the foreign exchange market. Similarly, at the Nigerian Autonomous Exchange fixing rate, the value of the Naira dipped by more than 1% week on week to 762 Naira 39 kobo against the dollar at the official Forex market. And still talking about the Forex markets, but this time the country's external reserves, which continues to weaken for the seventh consecutive week. Official figure from the central bank shows that the gross reserve position fell by $60.27 million week on week to close at $34.06 billion to July the 6th. Analysts have attributed the continued drop in external reserves to declining foreign exchange inflows through oil sales and other sources, as well as increased utilization of the FX by the CBN. Meanwhile, economic experts say the CBN's abolishment of its multiple FX windows is positive, boosting foreign exchange investor confidence as they will adopt a wait-and-see approach in the Forex market. And that's it on Business. Is back to Kaide with the rest of the news at 10.
Well, thank you, Ladi. If everything works according to plan, the Eco Bridge, which has been closed for some time, will be reopened to traffic on Sunday. And that's according to the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who led a team of government officials to inspect the completed sections of the bridge. Governor Sanwo-Olu adds that the government decided to open the bridge because it has passed all the tests carried out and found to be suitable for use.
This is to formally let all our citizens, especially users of the Akongo end of the Eco Bridge, that after very extensive repair work that the Federal Ministry of Works had embarked upon in collaboration and with support from the Lagos State government, we have seen the effect of a collaborative effort. A lot of you would have wanted this to happen earlier than now, but because of the extent of work that has to be done on the bridge, because of the extent of the destruction that happened on the bridge, we cannot take the risk to have opened it earlier before now. And so, it's with great delight that we have done a comprehensive test with the contractors from Federal Ministry of Works, and we believe that this portion of Akongo of Eco Bridge will now be fit for motorists. Like has been said, the work has not ended. This part has been completed, but the work on the entire bridge has not been completed. There are lots of other bearings that still has to be done on the entire stretch of the bridge, going all the way to Alaka. So what the Federal Ministry of Works have worked with us is that in future, there will be closure, but very, very short closure. Very, very short closure that probably will not be more than a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks at different sections, so that they can jack up the bridge, the other parts of the bridge, and complete it.
And now to our special report. The trauma experienced by some residents of Ondo State following the terror attack on the St. Francis Catholic Church is yet to be overcome by some of the survivors. Well, in the second part of our series on the incident 1 year after, our correspondent Timothy Crown at Deribigbe captures how it all unfolded as those affected narrate their experience.
There's a peace that greets you driving into the ancient town of Owo in Ondo State, southwest Nigeria. Particularly, if you're coming from busy cities like Lagos, Nigeria's commercial hub. But that peace was punctured when agents of death invaded the St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church in the Ogwalua area of the town in what appeared to be a well-coordinated attack. It was both a black and bloody Sunday for worshippers who had gathered for the Pentecost Sunday service, which celebrates the commemoration of the descent of the Holy Spirit of 120 apostles of Jesus Christ. Just as the service was running off, the killers unleashed volleys of bullets, shattering the peace that pervaded the atmosphere up until then.
I got an intel that Owo was going to be attacked. And we heard that the attackers were housed in Jubere Forest in Owo. I therefore requested for a joint operation to flush them out from Jubere Forest. We withdrew at about 6 a.m., 06 hours. By about 09 hours, there was an alarm that there was a kidnap in the extreme end of the town. And it was so devastating that I moved the only vehicle we had at that time with all the personnel to ensure that the kidnappers were arrested. Not quite 30 minutes after, we started hearing blast, bomb blast, explosions. So by the time I recalled my men and we moved in towards the scene, the deed was done.
A courageous member was able to shut the main entrance, leaving the killers to find other openings.
They were trying to shoot, from the windows, but these ones higher, so they couldn't get those ones who were already on the ground. So I was told that later they discovered that door over there, very close to the choir stall, that's the choir stand, they came in through the place because the place was not locked, Then this other door was being used as the escape route for the people. They were escaping through that door. So when they came in through this and they discovered that, a whole lot of persons are moving, so they had to use the dynamite on some of them. Some persons already, because of the numbers, they've fallen on the ground, like a kind of stampede already. So
since the operation was coordinated, another messenger of death was already positioned somewhere outside the hall to hit whoever attempted escape. Those who escaped the gunshots were caught by the explosive device. 6-year-old Benedict and his mother were among those caught by the dynamite. While he was lucky to have survived, his mother wasn't.
See this place now. This man, I cannot control this one again. Because already that day I lied on this boy, my younger one. So that in order to save his life, because I saw the man is shooting the people that under the bench. I saw this, they were already lying on the floor. And this boy, the head is not safe. I used my hand to dress his head so that the bench will cover his head. So in that, this God that helped me say I should do is that moment I received this name. If not for God that said I should do it, this one it will be among those people that they will bury on that day.
When the dust settled, bodies lined the sanctuary. Many of the direct and indirect victims are left to nurse their wounds. And then the case of a child who had lost her only surviving parent in the incident.
2 of them are trying to get over it. But one of them was still traumatized, watching her mother being gunned down in a church. She was in one of the ceremonies recently and I don't know what happened, she became very hysterical, even to the point of wetting herself and whatever. We have to immediately.
And when you begin to track the escape route of those that came to St. Francis, they would either have come in through from Idashe, from what's this community, that Ute Ichijogun corridor. And those axes, it looks like a ring road that links Ute Umoru Arimogija into the forest along Ofosu.
About 600 worshippers made it to church for that special service, but not all left. Both the state government and the church are trying their best to assuage the loss and the pain.
The state has done a lot, and the church has also done a lot. I'm sure you must have been told about that as well. So I think by the time you look at both efforts, a lot of resources have been deployed towards ameliorating the pains of the people that were affected.
The impact of the attack is not just on St. Francis Catholic Church. A drive round town on a Sunday morning shows strict security measures in place, a struggling number of church attendants.
The worshippers, they have now started picking up, coming to God's presence to also appreciate him for sparing our lives to this time. And then we have also been advised that the churches should also install CCTV.
However things turn out, one thing the worshippers here have demonstrated in the face of their anguish of death is that no matter what happens, good will always triumph over evil, and light will always swallow darkness.
Well, sports news now. World number one, Carlos Alcaraz's ability to turn up the dial under pressure saw him come through a tested encounter with Nicolas Jarry and move safely into the Wimbledon fourth round. The world number one was frequently on the ropes against the imposing Chilean, but always managed to find another gear as he wrapped up a 6-3, 6-7, 6-3, 7-5 victory on center court to set up a tantalizing encounter with either Alexander Zverev or Matteo Berrettini.
Game and third set. Alcaraz 6-3. Alcaraz leads by 2-1. Game, set, match. Alcaraz 3-1. 6-3, 6-7, 6-3, 7-5.
Well, elsewhere, Russia's Daniil Medvedev has been making up for lost time as he downed Hungary's Martin Fucsovics 4-6, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 to match his best ever showing at Wimbledon by reaching the fourth round. A year after being banned from playing at the All England club following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Moscow-born Medvedev survived a wayward opening set to topple an opponent who had won their only previous meeting at a major.
Third set, Medvedev. Game, set, match. Medvedev, 3-1. 4-6, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4.
And in the women's draw, two-time champion Petra Kvitova reached the fourth round at Wimbledon for only the second time since triumphing at the All England club 9 years ago. The Czech tennis star defeated Serbian qualifier Natalia Stevanovic 6-3, 7-5 in a rain-disrupted encounter to advance. Into football now. David De Gea has left Manchester United following the end of his contract, with the Spanish goalkeeper penning a farewell message to the Premier League club's fans after 12 seasons with the Old Trafford side. De Gea's contract expired on June the 30th, but at the time, the club said they were still in discussions with the 32-year-old shot-stopper over an extension. The Spaniard, who joined United in 2011 when Alex Ferguson was manager, was the current squad's longest-serving player, having made nearly 500 appearances. De Gea won the Premier League in his second season with the club, while he also won the League Cup, the FA Cup and Europa League. Well, the president has arrived in Bissau, the capital of Guinea-Bissau, for the 63rd ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. According to presidential spokesperson Mr. Dele Alaki, President Bola Tinubu's aircraft touched down at the international airport in Bissau at exactly 5:30 p.m. local time. Upon arrival, the president is said to have visited the Nigerian contingent stationed in the country under the ECOWAS Stabilization Force. He expresses appreciation and gratitude to the soldiers and their commander, General Al-Hassan Grema, for their dedication and service to Nigeria and their host country. But up on the agenda at tomorrow's meeting is security in the region, African Continental Free Trade Area, amongst others. A disagreement between coalition parties over asylum policies has led to the collapse of the Dutch government, according to the country's Prime Minister, Mark Rutte. The four parties were said to have been unable to find agreement in crisis talks chaired by him yesterday. The government was set up a year and a half ago, but the parties have been opposed on migration for some time. Mr. Rutte met King Willem Alexander in The Hague to discuss forming a caretaker administration. It was reported that fresh elections will probably be held in mid-November. And several allies of the United States have expressed unease at the country's decision to supply Ukraine with cluster bombs. Well, yesterday, the U.S. announced that it will send the weapons to Ukraine, with President Joe Biden calling it a very difficult decision. Meanwhile, the UK, Canada and Spain have expressed their concerns, maintaining their opposition to the use of controversial weapons, which have been banned by more than 100 countries because of the danger they pose to civilians. Cluster bombs are said to release large numbers of smaller bomblets that can kill indiscriminately over a wide area, and those that fail to expose or explode still constitute danger for decades after a conflict. And the main news again. The Committee of Inquiry set up by the Anambra State government to look into the UTM result forgery allegation against Mmesoma Ejikeme has concluded its investigation with the confirmation that Ms. Ejikeme indeed manipulated her UTM result, giving herself a score of 362 as against her actual score of 249, just as Innoson announced that it has withdrawn the scholarship awarded to the candidate. The police in Rivers State said it has neutralized 6 persons suspected to be kidnappers and arrested 6 others in a raid on a criminal hideout in the Emor axis of the East-West Road. And prominent Nigerians today extolled the virtues of Otunba Balogun as a foremost banker and philanthropist was laid to rest at his ancestral home in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. And that's the news at 10 for tonight, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayode Okikelu. Good night.